Hey Aquarius, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your May 2023 monthly horoscope. It's going to be a big month. We have our final eclipse of the season. We have Jupiter moving into Taurus. We have a change in the lunar cycle, which is very unusual. And we have a new moon in Taurus. Lots and lots of stuff going on. But before I start, let me just give you a little bit of business. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. When I refer to Capricorn, I'm referring to Capricorn rising, and the house structure that I refer to is based on Capricorn rising. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet, and you just need your exact time of birth as well as your location. This is also applicable to Capricorn moon and Capricorn sun. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in Capricorn, this would indicate a soul's intention for this lifetime. And this would also be applicable for that. The time zone is Pacific time zone. So if you're not in the Pacific time zone, please adjust for your location on the planet. Let's jump right in with Pluto being at 0 degrees Aquarius. So those of you that are early born Aquarians have already started to feel this energy of rebirth and of opportunities to empower yourself. This little toe tip that Pluto has done into Aquarius is giving us a glimpse of some of the things that we'll experience when Pluto moves into Aquarius in January 2024 and remains there. January 2024 and remains there until the year 2044. Hope I said that well. A lot of 2s and 4s there. This retrograde is going to, in June, on June 11th, the Pluto will re-enter your 12th house of Capricorn. It will just do the last 3 degrees or so. It'll retrograde all the way back to 27 degrees Capricorn. And then in October, it will move forward again. And then ultimately, as I said, moving into Aquarius in January. I believe that this is going to be very powerful for you, Aquarius, because the 12th house rules what is unseen, where we feel unseen. It is often referred to as the house of self-undoing. So I believe what we're seeing here is Pluto really rebirthing, breaking down old structures where you have felt unseen, where you have felt unheard, where you have felt even soul habits that you have. Aquarius by nature is so futuristic that one of the challenges is you can feel not of this earth. You can feel almost alien and feel very different. And doing so makes you feel exiled and feel somewhat lonely. And so I say this because I feel like this Pluto retrograde that has been going through your 12th house has given you an opportunity to dig deeper into those structures, to use the practices of meditation in order to connect with your inner being that will allow you this transformation much more smoothly as you surrender to your own raw genius, to your own innovative and inventive way of looking at things. It's such a beautiful sign, Aquarius, and yet at the same time, there is a little sense of loneliness attached to it. And I think that's due to the feelings of being between here and there, meaning being part of the Earth experience and then feeling another pull to explore, to seek out new lands, new experiences, new dynamics. The other thing about having a 12th house Capricorn is that Capricorn rules history, and the 12th house by nature rules, again, ancestral history. So there's sort of this doubling down on not just the history you've experienced here, but habitual patterns that your soul has brought into this earthly experience and may be operating on unconsciously. So I think that's going to be very powerful. We have on May 5th a lunar eclipse at 14 degrees Scorpio, which is in your 10th house. This lunar eclipse is very, very powerful in the sense that it is the second eclipse of this season, and we only had 2, both ruled by Mars. And I say powerful because I believe here Mars is calling forth an act of bravery, bravery to look deeper into the things that I'm building, the things that I am supporting within my own emotional body, the stories that I'm telling myself, and are they aligned to my truth and my happiness? Aquarius rules the nervous system. It rules large systems. It rules the World Wide Web. It rules the collective consciousness. And I have been getting this strong intuitive pull that when Aquarius starts to feel nervous or starts to feel anxious, there is something about authenticity. Are you moving towards your authentic truth? Are you inadvertently purporting energies, behaviors, thought processes that actually are trying to meld you into the collective versus let you stand out with your unique genius? I think this is very important for you. At the same time of the during the day of the lunar eclipse. Okay, so this eclipse is a full moon, and this eclipse is actually the beginning of a new moon cycle. So we had 2 new moons in Aries in April. The second new moon was a solar eclipse, 29 degrees Aries. And now this full moon is starting a cycle where normally we have a new moon first in the beginning of the month, and then we have a full moon in the second half of the month. For the next few months, and I'm not quite sure how long this is going to last, I believe it's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 months, we're going to see the full moon precede the new moon. So we're going to have an illumination, a real clear picture of something before we start planting our seeds in the new moon. I think this is really powerful. I heard this from Molly McCord, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, because on the day of the eclipse, and again, I want to emphasize that this is the second eclipse that's ruled by Mars. Being brave and digging deep into my own psychological makeup, where I inadvertently allow myself to put blocks or barriers up due to fear or trepidation. We have the sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 4th house. The lunar eclipse is in your 10th house of career. And so there could be an epiphany that you have inadvertently been operating on a deep psychological imprint from your childhood, from the experience of your nurturing and how you were taught to believe in yourself. Taurus rules our self-worth by nature. It rules our crafts and our skills. It rules our food. It rules our voice. So here, I believe that there's going to be some kind of, I literally feel like I'm having a lightning bolt of, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. I've had a lot of those over the last year or so. And I've had Uranus transiting my 2nd house, my moon. So here I want to offer it because as an Aquarius, Uranus is your ruling planet. And your co-ruler, Saturn, rules your 12th house. So here, I feel is a very strong pull that your ruling planets are trying to free you, to untether you from something that has inadvertently pulled you down or held you small in some way. On the same day of the eclipse, we have Venus at 27 degrees Gemini. This is in your 5th house of creativity, of pleasure, of the conception of children. And I want to offer it this way because Venus rules our self-worth. And she is at 27 degrees at the Gemini degree. So I'm really starting to look at how am I thinking? What are the permissions I give myself? Where are my inadvertent patterns that I purport unconsciously? Because Venus will make a square to Neptune, and then she'll make a sextile to Jupiter in Aries. So in the square to Neptune in Pisces, Venus and Neptune get along great. So there's really, this is not the most tense square that there could be, but it's very much about Venus saying to Neptune, are we still going to put on those rose-colored glasses? Are we still going to pretend to ignore behaviors or dynamics that don't serve us or that are inadvertently eroding our self-esteem or giving our power away to another person? Because as Venus makes this sextile, an exact sextile to Jupiter at 27 degrees Aries, there is a change in my belief system, and I'm wanting to birth myself more I want to use the word forcefully, but I think it's more actually intentionally. Jupiter is all about expansion, and being in Aries, it's all about the self. It's also about being courageous in allowing my own personal self-expression to be seen. I can't help but think about, people like Albert Einstein, who, revolutionized the way that we see so many things, gravity, the theory of relativity. And yet at the same time, this man probably felt very different than every other human on the planet, because he was exploring things that were outside of the human box. And that's very Aquarian. So I feel like this sort of understanding of your individuality gives you an opportunity to express that so much more to yourself. I feel like that expression is like looking yourself in the mirror and being like, I'm good. I like the way I am. I like being different. I like looking at life through new eyes, through possibilities versus old ideas that tether me to things that might not be as tasteful as I would like them to be. Aries is your third house. It could even individualize you from the potentials of how you've been viewed in comparison to your siblings or your cousins, or how you've been perceived in your interactions with your workmates, your teammates. There's a lot going on in that third house that has to do with my everyday life. And here, this is an opportunity to embrace your individuality in your everyday life. On the 7th, we will have Venus moving into Cancer. Cancer is your 6th house of health, of work, of service to others. And here I want to offer this, because as Venus enters Cancer, I feel as if I'm getting this. Every sign that I've recorded a video for, I get a feeling of nostalgia when I think about this, as if I want to eat the foods of my childhood. My grandmother was Armenian, and many of the foods that I think about as a child are Armenian foods. So when I feel like nurturing, I want yalanchi, otherwise known as dolma. I want some laimajun. I want things that my grandmother would give me to make me feel good when I was little, and to make me feel loved. So here I want to offer this. If indeed, you don't have access to a motherly energy, this is an opportunity for you, as Venus enters the 6th house for you, to self-nurture, to take care of yourself, to take care of your health, to be aware of your thoughts, and if they're aligned to what how you perceive love, both how you receive it and how you give it. I think that's really important. And I think also that this is an opportunity for you to dig a little deeper into trusting your intuitive knowing. That anxiety that can be riddling and be crippling for Aquarius, I think is an intuitive knowing. And because there's this kind of feeling of always being a little bit different than other people, it could, on the onset, initially feel like that is why you're having anxiety. But I don't know that I think it is. I think it's about allowing your own inner voice to speak to you loudly, and allow it to be an individual, allowing it to be different. We have Mercury turning direct on the 14th of May, and Mercury has been retrograde in Taurus. Taurus is, again, your 4th house. Now, during this retrograde, we have Mercury retrogrades 3 times a year, sometimes 4 times a year. They're very common. This one I did a meditation for before I did my Mercury retrograde video, and I felt like I was being nudged to look at the time when Mercury was going to go exactly retrograde. And when I did that, I found it was in an exact conjunction to the moon. That's not easy to do, because the moon moves so quickly. So I felt like this Mercury retrograde was very much about reevaluating my moon energy, how much I nurture myself, how I view my maternal experience, how I trust my inner knowing, how I take care of my emotional needs. Now, Taurus is your 4th house, your 4th house of home, hearth, of it's what your whole Zodiac sits upon. So I feel as if this Mercury retrograde and Mercury going direct is going to give you an opportunity to really start to implement what you have learned about what you need emotionally in the way of nurturing, of self-care, in the give and take of the people around you. And I think this is going to be very powerful because 3 days later, Jupiter is going to move into this house. And it's going to offer a year-long journey of expansion in your beliefs and your faith and your philosophies and your ideologies. It could take you into, you could literally move to a new country or to a place you've never been before, which I would call a foreign land. It also could bring you into a place of bringing business through the family. Jupiter by nature rules business and big business, I think. Not quite in the same way as Scorpio and some of the others, but here I feel as if there's a potential of maybe working with your family members or reevaluating your family dynamic and choosing to endeavor new things with potential family members. So that's kind of exciting. And I also think it's going to bring a lot of abundance into your home, literally material abundance. And this is all kind of feels like it plays to the idea of Pluto moving into your first house, liberating you from some things you haven't been able to see or reconcile because of that historic Capricorn in your 12th house. As Jupiter moves into Taurus on the 17th of May, it will square Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and it will begin a square with Mars. That Mars is at the last degrees of Cancer, and as Mars moves into Leo, we are going to experience a grand fixed square. And this is very, very powerful and very tense and kind of uncomfortable energy. But I'll get to that in a minute, because before we go there, I want to talk about the new moon on the 19th. Again, we've swapped the cycles of the moon. So where we normally have a new moon at the beginning of the month and then a full moon, now we're going to experience a full moon and then a new moon. So the things that were illuminated for you in your 4th house of home, in your 10th house of career will now affect the seeds that you plant in your house of home. There's a good possibility that some of you will want to rewrite your careers. You may go from working in an office 5 days a week to wanting to work from your home. You could potentially birth a business from your home that lights up your 10th house. There could be that you have actually been working so hard and building so much that you have decided to quiet down your 10th house a wee bit. That's a lunar eclipse, full moon, the conclusion of a cycle, and devote more time and attention to those in your home, your children, your family. I heard it said on one of my television, my renovation shows, Hometown, I love watching that you only have 18 summers with your children before they're adults. And I couldn't help but pare that down a little bit, because once a child becomes a teenager, they start having quite a social life. So you may, Aquarius, decide you want to devote more time to your children, to your family, to nesting. That could be very important to you. The new moon in Taurus, again in your 4th house, is making a trine to Pluto retrograde in your 1st house. It's making a sextile to Mars as it's exiting Cancer, and it's making a sextile to Pisces, which is your 2nd house, Neptune in Pisces. These are all very, very favorable aspects for planting these new seeds, for planting new intentions, for wanting to build something sustainable, something that fuels you and feeds you and gives you a sense of comfort and security. You may even find yourself wanting to redecorate your home a little bit. You may decide it's time to change it up for the seasons. That'll be up to you. But whatever it is, it will feel, I feel a sense of hope. I feel a sense of excitement and in this new moon, and I feel a sense of comfort on this new journey. Now, the next day, we start to experience this grand square. This is again in the fixed signs. Aquarius is a fixed sign. And as Pluto is in your first house, it is making an opposition to your seventh house. So this opposition is then squaring the North Node up. Well, it's now the North Node is in Taurus in your fourth house, and the South Node is in your 10th house. This, to me, kind of supports the idea that Aquarius may be reevaluating how you are operating out in the world, in your career, how you're viewed by your community. You know, so many of us have followers and subscribers and are endeavoring platforms on the internet. And this may be where you, Aquarius, start to implement structures that allow you more free time, more time to spend feeling nurtured, not only getting nurturing, but you also being able to nurture those that you love. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a challenge because you're going to be focused on money. And if you back off of your career a little bit, or back off of being seen by your community on a regular basis, let's say you were one of these people who produces videos like 5 times a week, and you're realizing that you'd rather do 3 times a week, you may have trepidation because you're thinking you will lose your community if you're not keeping up the pace. But I think this is an opportunity for you to reinvent that idea. When Jupiter moves into your 4th house, it's going to realign and expand your beliefs in yourself, your faith in yourself. And as you test these things, I think you're going to find favorable results. But the beginning of it feels as if it's it could very much stoke you and make you feel nervous and make you feel as if I don't keep up with what's expected of me, I will perish. But I don't believe that's necessarily true. I think we have a couple of pretty emotional days at the end of the month. But the 24th is a big emotional day because the moon will join Mars, triggering that opposition to Pluto. And these are cooperative planets. Mars and Pluto both co-rule Scorpio. But here in their opposition, Pluto is really kind of tasking Mars to be braver and braver and braver as Mars ventures out into new territory. And with Mars being in Leo in your 7th house, this is, again, how am I viewing my marriage, my professional partnerships, and all of this is influencing your 4th house of home. So you may be very emotional that day, and you also might be very ravenous or very frustrated, wanting to implement this new idea and being tethered to an old one. As Jupiter starts to make a conjunction with the North Node, I feel a sense of impatience for my expansion. I feel a sense of urgency moving forward, wanting to get these things rolling already. And I feel, pace yourself. It's important to do that. The other real big emotional day, I think, is on the 31st, when the moon is in a conjunction with the South Node in Scorpio. So this may be a day where you actually get frustrated with your career, with the aspects of how people perceive you and what's expected of you. And you're like, how? You could potentially be feeling, Aquarius, as if you're so busy giving to other people, giving to humanity, sharing your ideologies with people, that their expectation of your continued journey starts to feel erosive to the joy of your sharing that information. And so I feel as if it's super important for you to take care of yourself, to really honor Venus's transit through Cancer, and to honor the idea that you need to self-care. You need to take care of your health. Cancer is your 6th house. The other thing that's happening, which I'm kind of backtracking on, is Mars will officially move into Leo on the 21st, and the Sun will enter Gemini on the 21st. So we'll have those changes as well. But overall, to me, the big things we're watching out for this month is am I willing to recognize the patterns of my past, the Capricorn energy in my 12th house and liberate myself from that energy. And while it may feel like a metaphoric death, it is a rebirth. It is the phoenix rising from the ashes to give you a more enjoyable and more connected experience as you walk this human life. Okay, that's it for my Aquariuses. If you'd like to book a reading with me, I'm available both for intuitive readings as well as astrological readings, meaning I can do just a tarot reading or I can do an astrology assessment for you. I'd also like to invite you to join me Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where I do angel readings and a tarot reading by each rising sign for the week ahead. And finally, I think that's it for me. Oh, I know what it is. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, all those good things that we like to do for the building of our channel. All right, Aquarius, I will see you next month. Have a lovely May. It's going to be a big one. Peace out.